10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Here comes Ronnie James Dio.
I think it's a creation that happened many realms ago, that Ronnie would be the singer in Sabbath. It's all been written in stone.
He'd walk out and just sing, you know, this voice would come out. I mean, he was just...
Well, sing and tell the people that something's coming home clean. Oh, don't you see what I mean? Gotta get away, holy diver. Yeah.
Hey, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and welcome. I'm having some technical difficulties at my end. I hope you could all see that opening montage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I couldn't see it. I could hear it playing in the distance, but I couldn't see it.
Yeah, it was
froze for me. So welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to It's Only Talk and Roll, where we keep that music alive that we love so much, classic rock of the past. And welcome especially today to all the metalheads and rock and roll warriors, the children of the sea. Welcome to the most sacred temple of the heavy metal lore, the shrine of the one and only Ronnie James Dio. Bless him.
Okay.
I am that 70s rock fan. Bless him.
Yep, your boy.
And today we're going on an epic journey through the life, the music, the magic of the man who gave us the holy trinity of Dio, Black Sabbath and Rainbow. That's right, it's the legendary Ronnie James Dio. And the prompt for this show today was the physical release of the documentary Dreamers Never Die about Ronnie's life I was hoping my copy would be here so I could unbox it, but Amazon or whoever the hell it's coming by has let me down. It's not here. But this package, I was going to unbox it. That'll have to be a separate video now. It's just got all sorts of goodies in it. It's got the movie in various formats, deluxe edition. It's got stickers, pins, coasters, cards, a small tissue packet for those who need small tissues, a rubber wristband, a patch, guitar
that's a wristband. Oh,
Yeah.
I was wondering.
exactly. It's some
One
kind
off
of,
the wrist.
it's a catheter of some kind.
Oh.
Pics and a fold-out poster. So go get that movie in that package, or just buy the movie on its Blu-ray or whatever. Fantastic movie, and that's why I thought it'd be a great chance to celebrate the release of that. And let's have a show about Ronnie, the legend that is Ronnie James Dio. I am so pleased to be joined, apart from my wonderful normal friends on the panel, by some special guests today who knew the man and worked with him, and I'm so jealous. So first of all, we will start with a gentleman who we had a wonderful show with a few weeks ago, Mr. Colin Hart. How are you, sir?
Hey.
Hey, Mr.
Evening.
Hart.
All right, Cole. Yeah, how are you doing?
Yeah, you doing all right, mate?
I am, thank you.
Good. Thank you for joining us. I know you've shared some wonderful pictures with me, and we're going to be going through those and the pictures of Willie and Wilko as well. So I know you got a lot of memories of good memories back in the day of Elf and Rainbow and stuff beyond that. So looking forward to hearing about those, mate. And we'll make you smaller.
Yeah, that's better.
And in favor of this guy, this reprobate who we've done a couple of shows with recently,
Which one?
and the this reprobate here, Mr. Willie Fyffe,
Hey,
Woohoo! And his China collection. All right, mate.
Hello, team.
Me old China. How are you, buddy?
Good, Mucker. Good.
Good. Thanks for making it, mate. And you've got some wonderful stuff to share about Ronnie, and we're so looking forward to looking at those pictures and hearing about it, and so all sorts of tales that we might not have heard before, like stealing of sphinxes and tightening of sphincters.
Oh, the sphincters going in. Yeah. Nothing worse.
Yeah. Thanks for being here, buddy. It's great to see you.
Great to be back. Lovely.
And of course, great friend of the channel, rock and roll rowdy himself, a man I've streamed with more times than we can remember at our advanced age, the wonderful Wilko.
Hey.
Sorry I look a mess, girls, but I've been running. I just borrowed somebody's car and it broke down.
I see.
One of those jobs.
But as well, mate, it's good to see you again as well. And you're back home in LA.
I'm back in LA. Everything's good. We are talking about a TV show this week, so I'll fill you all in later.
Yeah, Rowdies are not only going to be on digital radio, but possibly streaming television too. So, and you of course have also got some great memories of Ronnie working on the Holy Diver tour, and obviously meeting him many other times. So, can't wait to hear about that, mate.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for being here. Obviously, we have also my wonderful friends. Pope, how are you, buddy?
Doing good, man. Really happy to be doing this. I mean, Ronnie's always been one of my favorite singers of all time, regardless of what band he's in.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to actually get into it and talk about some of our favorite stuff with him.
For sure. No, that's what we're here to do. We're going to talk about the music, the songs, the tours, the stage sets, some of which were legendary, and all that great stuff. I mean, the man was just a legend. It's one of possibly the most iconic guy in metal, and it's a controversial saying, but you know,
he's certainly up there.
Oh yeah. And also here with us, my great friend John. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. I wouldn't miss this for the world.
Good stuff. No, great to have you here, mate. And obviously also our curmudgeonly dark metal man, Imperatus. How are you, mate?
Oh, I'm doing all right.
Good.
Oh,
Just that's
Shithole bastard.
high praise from him.
We got no video there.
Drinks a chipper that keeps me going.
Yeah. And last but not least, my internet brother, Mr. Ronnie Dio.
Oh, no worries. I'm happy to be the last in line. Thank you.
Oh, that's right. Well,
got
you're
the Monday blues
heart.
there, mate.
Yeah, you're my sacred heart. You've also super chatted me. You've already super chatted me.
You know what it is.
Super stickered with the old.
There's only
horns.
one thing it could be.
It's the horns. So let me see if I can get that on the screen somewhere.
Never has it been more appropriate than right now.
Indeed. Well, it's in there somewhere, and I'm looking for it. But yeah, $3, and for that you get a video. Oh, shivers. Hard to believe that it was like the last song he made, the last track he recorded, I think, and it's just one of the best ever. Bible Black. Great stuff. I'd like to just, before we launch into our stories and show some great images and talk about Ronnie, to say hello to everybody in the chat for being here on YouTube and over in Rumble. Great to see you all again. Thank you for your support. The channel just crossed 1,200 subscribers.
Oh, good job.
So thank you, everybody.
Wow.
It was a team effort, but mainly me.
Okay. Pat yourself on the back, mate.
No, that's fair.
It took me all night hitting 1,000 for you.
You were, yes. How many accounts did you have to set up, Colin? So, Davina is here, our great friend Davina, and she's indeed saying Happy Dio Thanksgiving to Canadians, of which I am one. So, Happy Dio Thanksgiving to my fellow Canadians.
Yes.
Just remember, remember we rock in Canada, no matter what they say.
Heard a rumor.
Also, our great friend AFKHC 2005, my great supporter of our hockey channel, Bourbon and Boarding. Good to see you, buddy. Also here we have the wonderful Andy Morrow, who's probably over in Britain through 4 a.m. or whatever time it is over there. We have David Glenn is here. Good to see you, my friend. D. Bud Martin, our great wrench. Thanks for being here, buddy, and all for the great work you do and the support of the channel over the last few years. It's very much appreciated. Lord Thoth, also a wrench on the channel, keeping order in the chat. Good to see you, my Canadian friend. Happy Thanksgiving. Joe's Atmosphere. Joe can't join us today in the panel, but he's watching. Thanks for being here, buddy. Always appreciate your help and support. Who else have we got? E. Clay is here, and he's making some illusions about Ovine Fun Time. Is it the sheep that it just looks so good? The sheep looks so good. What can you do? And Mars Needs Max was at Peeps. Good to see you, buddy. There's the Darius $3. Thanks for your support financially. Keeps the lights on here at 70s Rock Fan Towers. Sean MNT, good to see you. Soul Assassin. And if I miss anybody, don't worry, we'll be catching up with you later, as it were. And also, there is a poll in the chat to pick your favorite of the first 4 Dio albums. So, couldn't do any more than 4 choices. So that was your lot. So, let's get into it. We obviously have a phenomenal person to talk about, but there's been some photographs shared with me by both Willie and Colin, and I got a couple of Wilko things. I think we'll start by looking at those, because you guys all knew Ronnie at various points in time, and I think it'd be lovely to share some of those images. So let me just call up. We'll start with Colin.
All right.
Here we go. So Colin, mate,
That's not me.
That's you. That's you. That's you there.
That's not
Well,
your
that
hat.
was you. So you were there all the way back in the Elf days.
Yeah, back in '72. When I first met Ronnie, he was they were opening for Deep Purple way back. Fleetwood Mac. Elf opened the show, then Fleetwood Mac, and then Purple. Back in
quite a
72,
lineup.
73. Wow.
It's quite the lineup, although it would be the well, it wouldn't be Peter Green by then. I think he'd left, but it's probably the
Gone by
Jeremy.
then, yeah.
Was it Jeremy Spencer era or yeah?
Yeah, he was there for a while.
I don't need the lights on. I have a rainbow. I am a rainbow in the dark. That's true. So they did about 8 tours with Purple, or some incredible number of tours.
Well, they did 3 or 4 at least.
Yeah. And the
Ronnie, they were all great. I mean, really great fun.
Were you working for Purple, but did you do stuff with Elf too, like road management?
Yeah, I did. After Purple, towards when Richie quit, Ronnie insisted that I move to the States with him and come and work for them for a while and I was like, what? Really?
That's pretty cool.
Absolutely. But when they were over in England while I was still with Purple, they came over to do another album, which was, I think, Carolina County Ball.
Yeah, the second one.
I ran them out to the Manor and hung out with them for the 3 weeks out there at the Manor. We had a great laugh. Roger Glover produced it. So.
Yeah, Roger and Ian were quite involved. Roger Glover and Ian Pace, weren't they?
And this was a fantastic album, their first one. Yeah.
Yeah, check it out, everybody who's never heard Elf. There's 3 albums, I think, and there's a lot of live material kicking around out there. Quite a hard rocking band.
I think my favorite song on that one was Sit Down, Honey.
All right, well, we'll check that one out for sure. But yeah, I've listened to a lot of Elf stuff, and it's not a band I would been too familiar with until much later when Ronnie became successful. But they rocked pretty hard, and he was playing bass then still, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And I do have a picture of him. We'll show later of him playing the bass. It's quite neat. In fact,
his Gibson bass was his favorite. Yeah.
Well, let me.
Dio. Yeah.
Let's call that one up now. There he is.
Yeah.
There it is.
That's a beautiful photo of Ronnie playing the bass in Elf. And he still played bass to compose in his own. When he was composing, he would still sit with the bass and work stuff out.
Yeah, and guitar.
Yeah, and he was a trumpet player too.
Absolutely. In fact, Cole, when they were opening up for Purple, he was just singing. They had Craig Gruber on bass then, didn't they?
Yeah,
on that tour. Yeah, but when I worked for them, he was playing. When I worked for Elf, he was playing bass. So.
I think he decided after the first album that he was just going to focus on the singing. It was to give it his all, as it were.
No, he decided he was going to drink. Is what
he was going to drink.
and if I've got a spare minute, I'll sing and play a bit of bass.
Yeah. He liked a beer. He's even got his own Dio beer. We'll show a picture of that later. But Willie shared that picture with me. But this is still a great picture, though. I mean, it's awesome. Cheers. Yeah.
Iconic.
And then, of course, after I mean, we don't want to. We'll talk about Elf a little more later, probably. But then, of course, became the Elf were really used by Richie as the sort of starter of Rainbow.
Stone, yeah.
But he only retained Ronnie. Ronnie and him were the only 2 left after the first sort of rehearsals and whatever. And then he was a full partner in Rainbow. I mean, let's face it, he co-wrote everything and the image of the band.
But Ronnie felt bad about that. When he was told by Richie that it was the next album was going to be just him and Ronnie, the rest of the band had got to go.
Right.
It was pretty
Ronnie
bad.
Was really twisted about that. He felt terrible about letting all his guys go.
Yeah, it was a tough time out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rest of the band got dropped by the wayside, I guess. But I guess it's a thing that's happened to many bands. I mean, you let your friends have to go, but you want to stay and you feel loyalty to them. But at the same time, it's a huge opportunity. What do? You know?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that when he mentioned it, Mickey Lee went, "Man, you got to do it," and I'm pretty sure Chops did too. They were obviously felt bad about it and let down.
A disappointment, but
yeah.
They wouldn't stop Ronnie from doing that.
And we went endless rehearsals at Pirate Sound.
And that was
auditions and rehearsals
because they did all that auditioning and rehearsing, but then ended up not being like that. Jimmy Bain and guys came on board, and
Yeah, that's where we got cozy. And after auditioning about 35 other drummers that couldn't play a shuffle, that was Richie's test.
That was the shuffle.
Play a
The
shuffle.
shuffle.
Well,
you know who's good at that? Mick Fleetwood's
no.
great at the shuffle.
Yeah.
and
Cozy played it for played one for about 20 minutes.
Yeah,
And
John
Richie's
Coughlin
like,
of Status Quo can shuffle too.
There's Charlie hard at work, Willie.
Oh, bless him, Chuckles. Yeah, God
That's why
bless
he
him.
couldn't come tonight. He's too busy taking a nap.
So tell us about this gentleman.
Right?
Tell us who this gentleman is.
It's Charlie Lewis.
Yeah.
For the
Roadie,
audience.
production manager, all about.
He's from the same town as Ronnie, Cortland.
Cortland,
Yeah.
He's a Cortland native, yeah. So
He's
he
a
was production
Cortland boy.
manager for Purple and Heaven and Hell, amongst others.
Yeah, he was just Purple for a while.
Yeah, and then
It's good lad, Charlie.
here he is with Heaven and Hell. This is actually with Heaven and Hell era. He's working he was production manager for them. But he's working.
He's in the kitchen.
Yeah. He's got the desk in the kitchen.
Trying to make some cannoli.
Yeah, there you go.
Mixing up a pot of spaghetti. Yeah.
So there's some pictures you've taken here, Colin. This is
yes. That was
Halloween.
Ronnie in the middle at one of his lavish Halloween parties at his house. Roger on the left, and of course Richie on the right.
That's
Ronnie
incredible.
loved those parties. He used to really go to town to make them special.
He's like a cross between a Hobbit and Gandalf.
Yes. He's a nobbit.
A nobbit.
He's a nobbit.
Yeah, that's a great picture. Here's one. I think this is recording the first album.
Yeah, that's Music Land.
Is that Birchie on the left?
Oh, that guy there, that's Mac.
Oh, is it Mac? Oh,
Yeah,
bless
that's
him.
Mac. This might be Birchie in the foreground.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Is that Mac, the guy that did a lot of work with Queen as well? And
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Mac. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
So
still in
this was
touch
in-
with Mac.
Hey? You
Oh,
what?
he would
I'm
be a
still in
great guy.
touch with Mac.
Oh, yeah, me too. Lovely
Yeah.
bloke.
Well, we'll see if we can tempt him on to talk about his work. Because
Oh, my God, that'd be a show just you and
Oh,
him.
that would be brilliant. Yeah, we should have got him involved.
Well, next time, because he's done some brilliant records. Brilliant.
He has.
So this is another one of that same.
Took that in Cortland. That was when I first moved over there with him.
Oh, right. Yeah. So we're talking about 73.
That's an old one, yeah. 72, 3, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
74.
He's a
And
baby.
then-
Long time ago.
And then this is you just about to eat Ronnie alive.
Back in the drinking days, I don't do that anymore. Well, except the old cup of tea.
Yeah, I don't do it anymore either.
Good
No.
man. Oh, yeah.
Of course
right.
not.
These are great photos, Colin. Thanks for sharing them. There's a bit more. There's a couple more. This is
That's Ronnie in his kitchen in
Yeah.
the Malibu Bay Club in California.
oh wow. You can tell it's the 70s. All the wood paneling.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he loved to cook, did our Ronnie.
Yeah, that's right. I saw that in the
Meatballs.
movie.
He loved doing meatballs.
Yeah.
Well, back then his specialty was spaghetti. He used to make this giant pot of sauce. I mean, giant.
well,
And he'd cook up meatballs, pork chops, chicken, and throw it all in the sauce and just
did
let
you
it
think?
simmer.
Did you think he was in the movie The Godfather or something?
We called him the stepfather.
The stepfather. So this because he's Italian
Yeah,
heritage. Ronnie James Padovano.
Padovana.
Savannah.
Padovana was his name. Yeah. Dio was a mobster, supposedly, that he took the name from.
That's
And
right.
according to his book, Ronnie says he turned up to watch them play in the Adirondacks at a hotel when they had a residency. So he said that actual mob guy did turn up there, hearing someone was using his name.
Yeah, he shit himself, I think.
He was a bit worried, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's one of those. This after party could go really good or really,
Really
bad,
bad.
depending on how we played that night.
Yeah, he probably played quite a few Besame Mucho and a few other standards. So this is again Munich Land again, is it?
Yeah.
Musicland, yeah.
Musicland,
we
sorry.
we lived in there in the 70s.
Hey?
We lived there in the 70s with the Wilko albums, all the Purple albums.
Yeah, great place. That's
This is
in
a good one.
Jamaica at the San Susi Hotel in Ocho Rios.
Oh, from Rochdale to Ocho Rios, yeah.
Yeah, we went there to do some overdubs. It was me, Richie, Ronnie, and Martin Birch. Flew down there, checked into this beautiful hotel. Supposed to use the studio that the Stones did Goat's Head Soup in. And while we were there, before we even went to the studio, the police showed up at the hotel with some British, what are they called? Intelligence officers. And they said, we need your passports.
Oh.
We were like, what the? They said, well, we want to know why you're here. So we told them, but we're all long-haired hippies. And apparently the Queen was on the island. And
it's not the band Queen,
John.
Just the Queen.
The real Queen, QE2. And they wanted our passports to check us out to make sure we weren't there, I guess, to bump her off or something.
Isn't that a contradiction? British intelligence? That's an oxymoron, isn't it?
It's an oxymoron.
Oxymoron, yeah.
So we didn't get anything done, really.
Ursula Andress is just climbing out of the water in the background.
Bless her.
Isn't that great? What's the T-shirt he's got on now?
I think it was the Righteous Brothers.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, it is.
That's going to be a new one, even for your tour managers and stuff, though. Like British intelligence coming up to you. It's like, all right, what did you guys do?
That's right. What are you roadies? What have you been doing? There's a lot of ganja on those islands, so maybe it was.
It was a bit.
Yeah.
And that's in Richie's kitchen.
A lot of kitchens, Carl.
Ronnie in the kitchen again. Me sitting.
All the best parties.
Also, the wood paneling again.
Look at that. My belly wasn't hanging over my belt. Wow. Those were the days.
Whose belt was it hanging over?
He was hanging over the back of his belt.
The back of his belt.
Right now, it's hanging on the floor, just about.
Yeah, one more.
God.
And your belt?
That was the very last show Richie did in Paris. And that was when Ronnie knew that things were going to change. And I knew too.
Well, this is at the last Rainbow show? Or
the last Deep Purple show with Richie.
Right.
Elf for opening the show.
Oh, I get it. Yeah. And, he knew Ronnie was. He knew Richie was up to something.
Oh yes. Everybody was smiling except the other four guys in the band. Yeah. Purple.
Yeah, I think it was what he was up to was just tempting you out of your position to go do something else, and Willie.
Yeah.
So great pictures, mate.
He wanted me on that tour. He actually said, "I'm going to have a word with Richie, try and get you on the tour." I went, brilliant. And he had a word with Richie, and he came back. I saw him the next day, and he came down with a pretty sad face. And he went. He said, Richie said, you're too fucking happy. He said, I don't want to.
That's probably,
Yeah, that's Richie. You went, okay.
Yeah, Mr. Chaos. Jesus.
He seemed to be a man who liked chaos and pissing people off, but...
he thrived on it. I mean, absolutely.
On both.
On it.
Yeah. And that's a very different character from Ronnie, was it not? Different personality entirely.
Yeah, but that's what kept them, made them who they are, I think. That's sort of
it's a good cop, bad cop, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Ronnie's... we're going to show a little clip later about Ronnie talking about the fans and what Richie did as opposed to what he did.
Oh, God, yeah. Totally different.
Yeah, very different. In fact...
Ronnie would stay for hours and talk to fans.
Yeah, in fact, I've got to show this...
last autograph. And Richie would just sneak out the front door while Ronnie was at the back door.
Yeah. I'll show this clip now, actually, because now we talked about it. This is and he's talking about a gig in Glasgow.
But I remember playing a gig in Glasgow when the first Rainbow tour that we did, and came off the stage entrance, and it was raining. It was really cold. How surprising! And
Scotland, of course.
Must have been 200 people outside the backstage entrance. It was, by this time, it was about probably 12:30, 1 o'clock perhaps in the morning. And they were all there waiting for autographs, mainly from Richie. I really didn't know who the hell we were very much. And he went out the door, got straight into his car and left. And then I heard all these kids going, "No, but we missed our train." All, they waited. They missed, you know what it's like in England. Missed their trains. They missed everything. They're doomed for the next day. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm never going to let this happen to me. I'm never, ever going to let this happen to me. And again, I prefaced it by telling you that, Richie might have gone through a lot of things that weren't necessary for him to go through. And so it jaded his opinion. But then he's always dealt with fans differently than I have. But when I saw that, I thought, well, she'll never, ever let this happen. And we played that gig again as Dio, probably, 10 or 12 years later than that, maybe even later, maybe even after that. And most of those people were probably the same kids who were there. Same people were going to miss their trains. And it was raining and snowing on and off that whole day. And after the show was over, I said, okay, here's our new policy. Everybody comes into the gig. And I'd say, how many people say? 2,000? Probably 2,000 of the kids who were in that show, or 3,500 of them, they'd all stayed that night outside. Brought them all into the hall, set up a table, stayed till 6 o'clock in the morning, signed all their autographs. They wanted to miss the train. It wasn't my fault, but I gave them what they wanted because they missed my band. Treat the fans the way they need to be treated, because without them, we aren't. Without us, they will always be. Without them, I'm not talking to you here. I'm laying...
Yeah, I'm afraid we all got thrown out of the stream there briefly. Sorry about that. We're having a few technical issues. Let's get everybody back in. Technical issues, we all got thrown out for some reason. We're back. Yeah, so hopefully that video showed okay, but I think that sums up the difference in attitudes between Richie and Ronnie. Yeah?
Uh-oh. Is that you, Wilko?
It sounded painful.
Yeah, everything's just gone off again.
Oh, mate. You look good in the dark, Wilko.
There's a rainbow in the dark.
But,
so
Wilko in the dark.
I liked that clip because it was talking about, first of all, Glasgow, and yes, it is cold and wet and miserable there, but also Richie disappears.
Yep.
Hundreds of hands, he disappears. And Ronnie, next time, remember that. And when he toured with Dio or Sabs, I don't know which one it was, he got them to bring everyone back into the hall instead of standing outside, set up a table and signed everything.
That must have been you, Willie, yeah?
Yeah, it was. A lot of the time he'd insist on that, because he didn't want to particularly stand outside in the snow and the rain, which is quite obvious. He's very prone to illnesses and colds. But yeah, other times the building wouldn't allow us to do that, which was a problem. So the plan B was always, he'd be on the bus. I'd stand at the bus door with the door open. He'd stand in the warm. And I would just feed the people along and get things signed. He'd say hi, quick snap, off you go. And I did that every night as long as I can remember with Ronnie. And I worked with Ronnie over, 20, 30 years. I mean,
so you're the poor sod who had to stand in the rain and the snow.
Yeah. What a difference, though, in attitude. And all throughout his career, I think he had that respect for the fans, and he would do anything for them.
Well, he believed what he said. He said, without them, we're fucked.
Yeah.
He said, if they weren't there, I wouldn't have money in the bank. I wouldn't be selling albums, and I wouldn't be able to tour. And he's quite right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no human being is perfect, but every human's got stories about them that are bad, but there's a damn sight more good stories about Ronnie than negative ones.
Yeah.
Very few bad ones.
The negative ones are the stories to get out there too. Like that's the ones that if they are around, everyone will hear. Whereas the good stories tend to be like the ones that everybody has one, but you don't remember them as much. So if they are out there, the negative ones are going to stick in their mind. And I have heard absolutely nothing bad about Ronnie, pretty much ever.
See, the other thing is, it wasn't only Richie that did that. With Sabbath, Geezer and Tony were out the door and in the limo and gone before he even got the towels off the stage. You know,
so it was just for him and Vinny.
The same thing. I mean, when Ronnie had the band Dio, and he was going out and signing autographs, he made sure that Vivian would sign autographs, Vinny would sign autographs.
Jimmy.
You know, Jimmy, he made sure everybody come and sign autographs, even if it's just for 5 minutes after the show. You know,
that's great.
Make an appearance. That was
Incredible, yeah. It's I think I understand how some guys could, after many years, could get tired of it, and maybe it's not their thing. But I mean, I think there has to be some effort in that direction. And Ronnie was one of the best I've ever heard at caring. I mean, it wasn't perfunctory. He would spend time, I believe, talking to people, and then next time he would remember stuff about them. Oh, your dad was ill. Is he better now? Or, you know,
oh yeah,
it wasn't just a perfunctory thing, you know, and that's
right.
Classy.
He'd amaze people with his memory.
Yeah.
He would, you know, how's your dad? How's your dad? How's your mum, Jean? And they'll go, what? How do you remember that? He was so good. He practiced so much.
Did he always remember the material on stage? Like, he didn't ever need set. Well, he might have a set list, but
they had a set list, but no lyrics. It wasn't like Ian or Chapo.
Yeah,
No.
like some of them, you can see them looking down, reading off the prompter now. You know.
Yeah.
No, he didn't do that. No.
The teleprompter, that great rock and roll instrument.
Yeah.
Oh, we lost somebody else. I don't know who it was.
I mean, we can only make fun of him so much for that. I mean, without me writing like the main points of my shows down, I wouldn't get to half of it. So,
oh yeah, I mean, hey, I'm surrounded by notes for these shows, but and Willie's left just as I was about to share these images. So, while we're thinking about whether he's coming back or not, we'll have another clip. All just under 9 seconds.
Just enough to tease you and then leave you wanting more.
Yeah. Well, in that case, we'll start showing some of the. I like to share images if that's okay, and it prompts us to talk about some stuff. This is this wonderful, as we were talking about before the show, Ronnie started back in the 50s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so born in Cortland in upstate New York, fairly quiet, conservative area, learned to play the trumpet and stuff like that. But then he got into rock and roll and he was a crooner, really. I mean, this is a great picture of him back in 58.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Just look at that. And he's very Paul Anka, you know, or very Bobby V or whatever. And he played trumpet and then bass, and he took the stage name Ronnie Dio, as he said, because he thought it was shorter than Padavana and would go over better. And he was in a bunch of bands, Vegas Kings,
yes,
Ronnie and the Red Caps,
yeah,
then Ronnie Dio and the Prophets. And he made his first records in 58. There was a clip of one in the opening montage at the beginning, very croony, you know, as I say, Paul Anka style. And there they are giving it the old. It's like they look like the Four Seasons.
Yeah,
it's the Four Seasons. So it's that kind of thing. This is Ronnie in the early 60s, and then he got more into the beat group stuff when the British invasion happened. So they started to kind of take on that sound. There's early audio of him on YouTube playing, like, it's all Beatles covers and 60s pop covers. And then look at these clean cut guys.
Gary.
There he is on the left. So who's Gary?
Gary Driscoll.
He's in the Elves as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know he went back that far.
Back to this is still the Prophets era. Yeah. And then there's that great clip I showed in the montage of Ronnie and the Prophets areas with the bass, and the rest of that video is great because the guy that's filming it concentrates on the rear ends of the women at the gig.
Well, you know,
and there were some good-looking ones. And then, of course, it gets the psychedelic era and starts to get
Gary and Rock Feinstein.
Yeah, it starts to get a little colorful. This is the Electric Elves. and then that moves into the elves. You can see the style changing as the years go. The hair's longer, the clothes are more rock and roll, and he did adapt very well to the changes in scene. Moved into rock from pop. And then
I'm just kind of disturbed that they just bumped the elves off one by one until there was only one left.
That's right. Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, and then there's that great picture
of the rest.
Then he became elf, and of course he started to look more like this, which is more like the Ronnie we recognize, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, great early photos of the guy. I'm just fascinated by that change in style. Like he weathered. Most people would have fallen by the wayside. I mean,
they would have fallen off the edge of the world.
Off the edge of the world. They started recording records in the same year as Buddy Holly, like 58, and guys like Buddy Holly. It staggers me. But he get a haircut hippie, as Doug Martin says.
Well, like we've discussed in the past, it kind of makes you wonder what Buddy would have been doing at this point in time if he had lived.
Yeah, because I mean, a guy like Ronnie adapted brilliantly over the years and changed his sound and discovered himself as a vocalist.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he looks so much happier in that last photo. You see that big smile? He's having a great time.
Yeah.
Oh, he did have a great time, yeah.
You liked the beer, though, you're saying?
He liked a few. Never drunk on stage. Never, ever.
No, I know. He's, yeah.
But he loved to carry on as well. I mean, he loved to tell jokes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for hours.
Totally one of the lads, So has Willie Fyffe got the bus home?
I don't know. Willie's disappeared. Can't get back on.
Fell off his chair, I think.
Yeah.
He's having trouble getting back in. I'll send him another link.
Wonder if he's caught in the middle.
There you go.
Perhaps it's something to do with computer gods or. I'm just messaging him, so talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, no, but it's like I couldn't even get on the computer. It all came up. It wouldn't open up for me. So I'm on my phone again,
Yeah.
Buy another one, will you?
Well, I'm waiting for this money to come in on the good stuff I'll tell you about, Colin, later. I'm going to buy one of those huge screens for my photographs and everything. So, yeah, I'm ready to upgrade.
All right. I just upgraded recently.
Yeah? What'd you get?
I bought a new iMac and a new MacBook laptop.
Good man.
Chips.
We'll see if we can get Willie back in here because I've got a lot of photos that he's shared with us. And I think, Colin, you sent another photograph here. Let me just download
I sent one of me and Willie.
Oh, well, that's going to be...
Just for ha-has.
That's going to be gorgeous. Simply gorgeous.
Wait for Willie, then.
Well, that's as the actor said to the bishop, yeah.
Yeah, it's still funny listening. Yeah, me and my Willie. Yeah.
So Elf then morphed into, there's a lovely picture of Elf, morphed into Rainbow.
Yeah.
And it's from this point onwards. So that first Rainbow album, 1975, it was called Rainbow, then they retitled it Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow because he had at least some name recognition. From that onwards, you've got those three albums, you get the two Black Sabbaths, and then you get at least the first four Dio albums in about 10 years. What an incredible body of work.
Oh, yeah, tons.
In that
every
period.
single one of those albums is absolutely phenomenal and is turned into a hallmark of the genre. That's absolutely amazing to me that he went on a run from like 75 to pretty much 85 or 86, that pretty much everything he did was amazing.
Oh, it is incredible. I mean, each one of these albums, the three Rainbow albums, were like invented to be classical, neoclassical heavy rock. And they started to develop the lyrical themes, so fantasy and mythology stuff.
Yeah,
like
I mean, this is pretty much what we would consider proto power metal at this point, where like it's very fantasy oriented, but still very fast paced and stuff like that. It would kind of inspire bands like Halloween and stuff like that later on into the 80s.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like Kill the King, for instance, on Long Live Rock and Roll is, to me, is proto speed metal, you know?
Oh, yeah. And Stargazer is absolutely power metal.
Oh, great.
Can't be anything else.
And these are songs, I think, Willie Colin, that they continued to play live right up to the last tours.
Stargazer was one of the biggies live, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant track.
Of course,
I love the
Silver Mountain and,
the lyrical themes of good versus evil.
Yeah.
And that was a common thing with him, is very upbeat kind of fantasy lyrics too. Like, the power of light versus dark and stuff like that was stuff that he was very into, and kind of allegorized a lot of stuff in a very positive way, which is something I always dug about him.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons he fell out with Ronnie in the end over the band, the future of the band, and ended up basically getting let go from what was basically his own band, one of his own bands. He didn't want to do the love songs or the pop stuff. He felt very strongly they'd built a brand on mythology, empowerment, resilience, like later on songs like Stand Up and Shout and so on. That kind of stuff. He the classical stuff, the medieval stuff, which is weird because that was Richie's thing, and yet he wanted US radio play.
Yeah, it still is Richie's thing in a lot of ways.
It was very sad that when all that went down, that's when Richie and Ronnie kind of stopped talking to each other, be it rehearsals and writing, and one would be in one room and one would be in the other.
That's horrible. Yeah, I mean, is that what Long Live Rock and Roll was like making that album then?
Yeah, kind of. The album went okay. It was the stuff afterwards when Richie was trying to talk him into all this love song crap. I mean, Ronnie could write that stuff, but just didn't want to. Didn't think Rainbow should go in that direction. So.
Yeah, it's interesting because we've had Graham Bonnet on the show, and I'm a big fan of Graham's as well. And I love Down to Earth, but it was a very different album.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think Ronnie wanted Rainbow was the band he wanted to be with all the time. That was it. He thought that they'd done something special. Rainbow Rising, I think, particularly he loved. But what would they have been if he'd stayed with them? Because I think after the Bonnet era, for me, it went downhill rapidly in Rainbow.
Yeah.
And you can kind of hear it in his stuff with Sabbath and then with Dio, in that this was kind of the natural progression of what his vision of Rainbow would be. And that they stuck very heavily with the fantasy lyrics and a lot more of the, more allegorical stuff rather than the love songs and the more poppy stuff, which is what Richie wanted to do. And that's what Sabbath and Dio ended up doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Long Live Rock and Roll. Well, that's the title track of that third Rainbow album. And it was the track that was the first Rainbow album I bought, Long Live Rock and Roll.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was 14, I think.
Good man.
And I was starting to be able to afford to buy albums, maybe just one every 2 weeks, and I'd heard of Rainbow, but that was the first one I bought. So that got me into Ronnie and Rainbow.
How old were you?
I was about 14, I think, when that came out.
Am I that old? Good.
Yeah, 50. I might have just been about 15. And for me, it was a progression because I'd been I was into the Quo and stuff like that. But to me, it's like this thing's an adult album. This is for adults. Long Live Rock and Roll.
Yeah.
But there's tracks on the first album there: "Man on the Silver Mountain," 16th Century Greensleeves, "Temple of the King," showing the range that Ronnie had as well. It wasn't all just power or loud stuff. He could do everything.
Catch the Rainbow was the big ballad on there, wasn't it? Oh, that's better. Thanks.
And then I think my favorite off this is If You Don't Like Rock and Roll, because it's just a fun song.
Yeah.
Great album. I mean, just nailed the formula.
Yeah.
There's hardly I don't think there's a bad song on this record.
No, it's brilliant. And a huge hit in Europe, in the UK, not such a big hit in America, I don't think. That was the problem for Richie.
Well, I mean, we as a nation are a little slow on the uptake sometimes.
Then Rainbow Rising followed it, and then the third one, which has the great Stargazer on it. I mean,
yeah.
It's an epic track. Which
Stargazer is brilliant.
Yeah,
I like the intro to Tyrell Woman too. That was what
That's
Tony
a brilliant
Carey.
one.
it is a good one. Yeah, it's, and I think Ronnie, you'd know better than me, obviously. I think Ronnie believed that was one of his magnum opuses was this album. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Fun times there too.
I'm just gonna do something with.
Where's
the link.
our Willie?
Well, he's struggling on his computer, so I'm gonna.
Likely story. Mixing himself another drink.
Yeah.
Come on, Willie.
So I'll let you. Yeah, if you guys just hold the fort while I try and.
However, we'll go. It's your turn. Oh, can't hear you.
We can't hear Wilko now.
Wilko?
Can't hear you. I gotta get this link to our friend. So just give me a second.
Can't hear you, Wilko.
That would be the wrenching noise that Wilko's computer made when we all got thrown out.
Ah.
But no, this period of Rainbow stuff, like I can't imagine what it was like to be around the band, and especially around the live circuit around this time. It must have just been an incredible experience because this was like new to everybody at the time. Nobody was doing this stuff.
Yeah, brilliant. I loved every minute of it. Wouldn't have changed it for the world.
So you were
I
doing
would have killed to have been around at this period to actually like see this stuff because I wouldn't be around till '87. So like this is like I see the the video footage and stuff like that, of which even the early stuff there's not much of that even. So to actually like be at the shows and listen to these albums when they came out was just something I can only imagine what people were thinking, especially like the first Black Sabbath record that he's on, because it's a very different Sabbath record.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Was Willie with them on Sabbath?
He, I think at that point was working with Whitesnake.
Oh yeah.
So, but he
The
didn't do the
dreaded
Sabbath
Mr.
stuff.
Cover deal.
So I'm just gonna get this link sorted out for Willie. We do want to get him back on. Copy link. So,
but especially for Sabbath fans, like you're used to Ozzy's voice and kind of the slower, doomier pacing, and then you're like, oh well, they got a new singer. Let's see what the next record is, and then Neon Nights comes bellowing out the speakers.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
So,
but I like it.
Tony Iommi had marvelous things to say about Ronnie. Yes.
Well, that we're just going to touch on that era in a second, but this is a beautiful gatefold. I think it's from Rainbow Rising, gatefold sleeve. What a handsome bunch!
What do you mean? I'm not in that one.
You're not in that one, no. Where are you?
No.
You're just off camera.
Oh yeah.
But when your involvement, this wasn't just. I mean, you were with the band at all times in terms of
all the recording sessions. Yeah.
And I guess at this point things were still pretty harmonious.
Absolutely, yeah.
They were using harmonies. Yeah, we were supposed to do a Taylor Swift stream today. I don't know what happened to that.
You should get Tony Carey on here one day.
Hey, well, if you could swing it, mate, that would be awesome.
He lives in Germany now. Talks German mostly, but he's a good lad.
He will ask the questions.
Have you had Bob Daisley on yet?
No. Well, I need you guys to sort me out.
All right.
Jimmy Bain, is he still with us?
Go.
So this Long Live Rock and Roll, the first one I actually bought as a vinyl album. And yeah, Long Live Rock and Roll, both starting tracks on both sides are killers, like Kill the King, Long Live Rock and Roll. Still immortal.
Big fan of Gates of Babylon too.
Yeah, that's good. It's got over Mystic
used to do that live superbly.
Yeah, it's got a bit of that Eastern Mystic feel going on. And it was quite progressive stuff, So let's have a little oops.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Hello, what's that?
Hello. I'll have a little bit of Kill the King. I've got a little clip of that from the Dio band era. So let me just tee that up.
Wilko, can you hear me?
Tommy, can you hear me?
We can't hear you, Wilko.
So we are going to play a little. Oop.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
There it is. A little bit of this. Yep, great stuff. Immortal. Ah, he's back.
Hi, team. I'm sorry. The wife's, I don't know, you just disappeared and I can't get back into my wife's knickers. So I've had to do it on my phone.
No problem, mate. No problem. If you're able to move a little closer, we can hear you a little better. That would be good. Luckily, we can't hear Wilko.
Oh,
I think he needs to leave. He needs to leave and come back, and it might work then. Anyway,
no.
So Willie, we were going to show some of the photos that you shared with us of Ronnie and the crew. The first one, but Colin shared another one. I haven't shown it yet, and I'm going to just download it and see if I can find it.
Oh, you like this one, Willie?
Go on.
Oh, here it is. Right, there we go. So hang on, I'm going to show it in the stream. There. So here's a photograph of some reprobates. Some weird ritualistic cult sexual act.
Yes. Hotel bar after the show.
Which show?
We're practicing our Kama Sutra.
Right.
Boozer Sutra, we used to call it.
So which show was this after?
Oh, I can't remember now.
No.
Era? Give me an era.
Is that Bones there? That's Larry, the bass player. So it's got to be a Dio purple thing. So it's got to be Dio Purple Scorpions or Motorhead.
One of those festivals in Germany. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So 1990s, in the 90s.
Yeah.
No, it's probably later than that.
Well, it's got to be in the 90s because I left the road in 2001.
Of course.
Yeah. So this is late 90s. You've got the lovely silver shorts on Larry.
Oh, Larry, yeah. Bones, God bless him. Yeah.
Lovely. The silver shorts are great.
Of course. Yeah. You bang on. Of course, we'd done the 2000 was the orchestra tour, wasn't it?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So it's before.
Oh yeah, 2000 September, November.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that was before that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. That was a brilliant tour, the orchestra tour. Wow.
That was killer.
Nice stuff. Yeah, good stuff. I'm gonna get see if we can get a better layout here. Do you think we should have Wilko up there? No, we'll have Willie up there and Wilko up here. There we go. Oh.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Ah,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
That's better. Good. Thanks for joining us.
Well,
Yeah, typical Geordie.
Yeah,
Probably in the pub.
Oh, you called him a Geordie.
He's not a Geordie, he's from Hartlepool.
You called him a Geordie.
Oh, he's hearty.
He's a monkey strangler. Get it right. So Willie's got some great pictures though too. We'll share a few of those, Willie. Hopefully you can see them okay on your phone. This is the classic, of course. Where
yeah, bless him. Yeah.
Ronnie had just goosed you.
Well, it was his job.
Yeah. This is the street they named after him in Cortland.
Yeah, that was like I explained to you before. He hated that name because the DOA thing, you know.
Oh, DOA, yeah, that's
Death on Arrival. He hated that. It sounded too much like that. So,
could they not have called it Dio Street or Avenue or something? Yeah.
Well, that's right. Dio's leg, Dio's weight. Yeah.
Yeah. I see they keep stealing that sign. Apparently, people.
Oh yeah, they keep putting concrete things on it, but now they come along and they saw the post.
And this, and the Rubbermaid factory in the background as well, which is
whereas that's the factory now. They sell all the chainsaws. They make a fortune.
Oh right, yeah. I'd have a chainsaw stand right there.
Yeah, well, Ronnie thought I might as well make money out of this.
Yeah, DOA. Well, I mean, he did.
You call it Via Dio.
Via Dio would be good, Darius. You're right.
Keep it Italian.
Yeah, Via Dio, Dio Rio, Dio Rio.
Yeah.
Dio Rio would be Dio River.
Dio Rio wouldn't be good.
Dio Rio, yeah.
Say that about
that picture there is the New York show that we did at is it the Beacon? No, the radio thing.
Radio City Musical.
Radio City Musical.
Yeah, and they did the video there. They videoed a great show. Ronnie always put great shows on.
Yeah, he made some good live albums and DVDs. There's quite a few good ones. Yeah, the Radio City
The Spectrum was the best.
Yeah.
Nice shirt, Willie. Upstaging.
Yeah, of course. Everybody had an upstaging shirt.
I love the haircut here. And I'm not talking about Ronnie.
No, that's my...
That's his Sunday best.
Sunday best, yeah. Now, here's Ronnie realising that his staff are not necessarily the hardest working.
That's true, yeah. Wake up, you bastard. Yeah. No, that was taken. In fact, the full picture is got me and Ronnie there, and to the left of that picture is his mum and dad. This is
That's Ronnie's mother's kitchen. Yeah.
Right, you got rid of the wood paneling this time. So that's good.
No, they got rid of. They're updated to the blue. What's the name? Yeah.
I believe he liked his hometown though. I mean, he enjoyed his growing up there. It wasn't a bad place to grow up.
No, he loved it, but he couldn't deal with the cold. He after a while he went, that's it, enough of the cold. He moved west to get warm.
Moved to LA when he was hanging about in the Rainbow and the Sunset Strip all the time, wasn't he?
Well, no, not as much as one would think. He'd make the occasional trip down there. If I ever stayed with him, he'd go, "Oh, should we go out and play tonight?" And we go, "Why not?" And then we get as far as the snooker room and a few glasses of Amarone. We go, "Nah, tomorrow." But occasionally we'd go down there. He liked to get out and about, but he liked his home too much.
Yeah,
that is a great shot.
So he made you a birthday cake.
That is the dope birthday cake in Holland. Ronnie sent me out on a mission in the morning when we checked into Amsterdam. And he said, I one for the crew and one for the band bus. Some dope cakes. It's Gungy's birthday. Now, Gungy, Colin must remember Gungy. He was like 6 foot.
This is him in the foreground, isn't it?
Is that him there?
That's him there in the leather jacket on the right.
Yeah.
He's like 19 feet tall.
Yeah, that's the one. And Ronnie said, right, it's his birthday, so let's get some cakes. But don't just give it before the show. Let's do it after. Let's face it, we don't want the riggers and everybody stoned out their heads trying to pack the gear away. So I put one on the crew bus and one on the band bus. But that was the shot after the show of cutting the cake to say happy birthday. And later on, it all happened. It kicked off. I mean, this was the one where the band got on the crew bus, on the band bus. And as we drove off, we were going back into Germany. But we're all so stoned and totally out of it. Okay. All the ashtrays had joints smouldering away in it. We're all pissed as fuck. The bus suddenly stops because we got a new driver. Okay. Colin knows this problem. The new driver, we'd said, look, give a stop 20 minutes before the border, half hour before, so we tied up the bus.
Yeah.
He'd spaced out, forgot. The next thing we see is the curtain at the front of the bus open. There's a German guard standing there with his dog. We went, oh my! And we'll bank the right. Okay, and this dope cake in front of us. The dog comes up to me and sits next to me, and looks at me like I want some cake. And the German guy, Benny Hill, going, he loves his cake. I looked at Ronnie. Oh, don't. Cut a bit of cake, giving it to the dog. And everybody's just going, oh, no.
So the most stoned dog in Germany.
He walks on and goes, I love the bus. I said, please let me show you around the bus. So I took him through all the sleeping quarters, down to the back lounge. Everybody's trying to scrape all the shit away, except the cake, of course. We couldn't put the cake away. That'd have been too obvious. So he comes back up and he goes, oh, me and my friend, we like chocolate cake. And I went, no. Ronnie's gone. This one. Ronnie's gone. No, please take a. So I've cut 2 slices of cake, wrapped them up in foil, given them to this guy. The guy's gone to get off the bus. He's called his dog. His dog is out of it. He's going nowhere. He had to drag the dog off the bus. Okay. Everybody, and he said, oh, but it's the name of the... And Ronnie went, Ozzy Osbourne. The guy got off. And we thought, get the fuck out. And we drove out. So, I mean, how we got away with it, it was just unbelievable. Incredible.
The most stoned police dog in Germany.
Oh, well, by that time, we imagined as we drove down the road, we were all going, can you imagine the pair of them sitting there with their coffee, stoned to fuck, what do you through? Gun runners, drug smugglers.
Why is it sparkling?
That could have been end of the tour right there.
It could have been, but goes is the proof that we did cut. Oh, yeah. Bill, yeah.
So this is a shot of a man mountain.
Bill Metrolexis is a New Yorker that was Ronnie's bodyguard for a while. Jeez. And he was like just under 400 pounds. He was 6'4". He was huge. And as you can see, we're all hid by it, but we're all the band and me are behind him. Everybody's behind him.
How many band members could he bench press at once? But he was a big lad. He was a big lad. Can see that.
Yeah. We did a good.
Courtney's here.
That's Musicland, the very first Rainbow album.
We finally got some non-testosterone on the stream. So Courtney's joined us.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. Can you hear me okay on these things?
You're a little quiet, but we can hear you.
Hello, little quiet.
Hello, little quiet. So this is recording the first album again, yeah?
It is.
Yeah.
And
Notice the happy faces.
Yeah.
Now, Colin might be able to help me here.
I'll try.
Was this the album that I went up, because this is Arabella House, and outside the Arabella House,
that's music.
3 great big fountains. And I got bored one time and went into the cupboard in the studio and found these huge bottles of concentrated washing up liquid.
Yeah, that was then, yeah.
That was then. It wasn't Stormbringer album. Okay, great. Thanks a lot for that. And that's all I need to know.
Right towards the end of this album, we were moving out and you were moving in. This is then too.
That's right. That's on the lake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what's that guy's name at the front? His name. He was one of
the... have the one of him mooning.
Yeah, that's coming up next.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
So sexy.
I recognise that face.
Yeah.
The thing is, I had a camera, and after that, I turned around and took a picture of Colin mooning back from the other boat, but I cannot find that picture.
Thank God for that.
It's lost to the internet. Yeah. I said you were standing in the water taking this picture.
I think it was.
In the other boat, yeah. That's definitely Stormbringer album.
Was that?
I'm gonna have to mute Courtney because there's.
Sorry.
Stormbringer, Cole.
because of what Martin's wearing. Because in the next shot that follows this on, I think that was one of Mac's photos. And in the next
Okay.
one, he's sitting at the mixing desk and Coverdale's behind him. I've got one of those somewhere.
We'll see if we can find it. Yeah.
I'll see if I can dig it up while we're talking here.
Yeah, do it. Brilliant.
Right. So here's Willie.
Simon.
Simon, the drummer.
Yeah, brilliant. He was great because he was living at Ronnie's house in Encino, in one of the spare rooms, and he like just moved in, and after he was a messy kind of divorce, and he became Ronnie's soulmate in the end. He actually looked after Ronnie when he was ill.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, he was like giving him his jabs. He was good as gold. He was great, Simon. He did really well. He's a good lad.
Yeah, he was one of Ronnie and some unknown guitarist.
Yeah, I don't know who that guy is. He's unknown.
I'm sure he never went on to do anything.
He did nothing.
What can you do with a striped guitar, for Christ's sake?
Right? This is a good one. I like this one. It's close.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hey, yeah.
Yeah.
He was great, but he so wanted to be Ronnie. He so wanted to they were both the same size. I mean, it was like a double.
It was half of the Lord of the Rings cast.
Lord of the
Yeah.
Ryan, I just sent you another picture of the one.
All
in
right,
the
right.
studio.
So here's somebody who was asking about Lemmy earlier.
Brilliant. Brilliant. He loved Ronnie to death. Ronnie.
Let me just
How are you
download
doing
this
that
other.
today?
Say again.
Oh, there you are.
Courtney.
What?
Hello.
Can you not hear me still?
We can hear you now.
Oh, you can.
You sound good now. Yeah, you sound good.
Okay, good. I said, how are you going to do that to me? I'm trying to fix things when you bring up Lemmy.
Yeah. Well, Lemmy
My
was
love.
a big pal of Ronnie's, and because Lemmy, as somebody said, hung out at the Rainbow a lot, so I guess they encountered him there a few times. But there was tours. There was various tours and festivals with Dio and Motorhead and Scorpions. Yeah.
Yeah, I've always heard that, like, Dio, Lemmy, and Rob Halford were always really close and, loved to tour together all the time.
Yeah, Rob liked Ronnie a hell of a lot. Rob was a gentleman. He phoned up Ronnie after Ronnie had been fired from Black Sabbath, and he'd actually called him up at home and said to him, Hey, Ronnie, lad, I've been offered the Black Sabbath gig. Do you mind if I do it? And of course, Ronnie went, Of course not. Of course you go ahead and do it, man. And Ronnie really appreciated the fact that he phoned him up and asked him, as opposed to just do it.
Just doing it, yeah. It makes a big difference. And of course, we all know how badly certain people react to being replaced in bands, such as Ozzy. Ozzy was not happy.
No.
I'm going to show that picture you just sent, Colin. Hang on, there it is.
And there's the shirt, Willie. Same shirt. Stormbringer album.
I like the poster on the wall in the background of the large endowed women.
Yes.
Oh, the Gross Inclusion House.
Make it bigger.
Make it bigger.
Oh, right.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a stream band
I remember
already.
her.
Yes.
So
what's going on here? What's going on here?
This is the Stormbringer album. That's Glenn Hughes in the middle, David Coverdale just behind Martin Birch.
So it is. Yeah.
And that guy is Andrew Tribe. He used to work in the Purple Office.
Jesus. He's got hair.
Yeah, that was while he had hair before he
Stormbringer
became all shiny.
Wow.
Cool.
Wow, we was talking about him the other day, Andrew Tribe, because he long died now, but he kind of ripped Lordy off on one of his cars, which we didn't really appreciate.
He was
another quick Lemmy shot. I know it's a Dio stream, but
Love it.
it's Abbott and Costello.
Little and large.
Little and large, yeah. There's
There
Nico. Green.
you go, Nico.
Oh, there you go, Nico. He loves everybody, Nico. I must have told you the story about Lemmy and Ronnie and me when we went to his bus.
Well, you maybe did, but go ahead.
Well, we knocked on the driver, came to the door and went, yeah, you know, what do you want? Well, hello, we just, we want to come to see Lemmy. And the voice in the background was Lemmy going, who is it? And I said, just tell him it's Willie and Ronnie. Oh, let them on. Always let them on. So he let us on the bus. We went straight to the back lounge. He's chopping out vast amounts of silliness and drinking large portions. Invited us all to drinks and said, have a listen to this. Tell me what you think of this. And he puts a cassette in the sound system and turns it up. And it's him singing. And we're sitting there listening going, okay. And it's all the cricket songs. It was What's His Face. Oh. And he was singing all his songs. The whole tape was him singing Buddy Holly songs. And Ronnie and I looked at each other and just went, didn't know what to think about it. But come the end of the tape, and after a few more large sort of bourbon and cokes, we said, look, we've got to go, Lem. We'll catch you later. We got off the bus, said our goodbyes. And as we were walking back into the venue, Ronnie said, what do you think of that then? And I looked at him and I went, do you know what? If it was anybody but Lemmy, I would have said it sucked. Because it was Lemmy, it was fucking great.
It was the best thing ever. So
Lemmy had got up.
It's interesting because Ronnie might have been he was a contemporary of Buddy Holly, really. I mean, he maybe even have met him if Buddy Holly toured up in New York State. He might even have met him.
Very possible. But I mean, his heroes were people like Mario Lanza, you know. That was his right there.
Yeah, exactly. And he may well have met a lot of those early rock and rollers back in the day when he was a teenager going to gigs in New York State, you know.
Did I tell you the story when Ronnie went to see Satchmo? His dad took him to see the show. This is when he was still learning the trumpet. And they waited outside the stage door, waiting for Satchmo to come out to try and get his autograph. And when he came out, the crowds pushed forwards, and Satchmo had seen Ronnie being pushed around in the crowd and said, whoa, let this little guy out here. And brought Ronnie forward along with his dad. And he said, what's your name? And he told him his name. And Ronnie produced a book for him to sign, which he did. And then he gave him his handkerchief. Wow. And of course, when Ronnie got the handkerchief and the signature and walked away a happy bunny, it wasn't till later Ronnie told me that Satchmo was a terrible cocaine freak. That had most of the cocaine handkerchief. So when he was, you think he's mopping his bowel, he's not mopping his nose, he's snorting the cocaine.
Oh, geez,
so he
an
must
old trick. What an old trick that is. That's great.
It just ruined my perception of old Satchmo.
That's right.
It didn't. It doesn't surprise me.
Because he did sweat a lot on stage. You could get away with it.
Well, yeah, it was pouring all over his face.
Yeah. So a couple more images of yours, Willie, before we went. I'm going to want to go back and talk about the music again. This is
the music. That was the
This was the orchestra where they did the butterfly ball stuff.
Yeah.
It's all on YouTube if you want to see it. Of course, a lot of people don't know that Ronnie's first hit was from the Butterfly Ball project that Roger Glover did. Love Is All. It was a hit single.
Great song.
Yeah, a great song. If you've never heard Love Is All, go check out YouTube. And it's the whole orchestra there, but Ronnie sings Sitting on a Dream and Love Is All. And it shows his beautiful range.
Yeah,
these are beautiful songs.
Two different songs. Yeah.
Yeah, gorgeous songs. Love It All was a big hit. And before Rainbow era, he'd had a hit single.
But the animation to go with it too.
Yeah, it's neat stuff. Yeah, I really do enjoy that album. Roger and he got a lot of friends together.
Everybody was on it. Coverdale was on it. Glenn Hughes sang the song. Coney Gillen.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody was on it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, Roger's a great musician, a great composer,
great
and arranger. Get him
Great
on the
guy.
show.
He just called me a couple of weeks ago.
Well, I'd love to talk to him.
Yeah.
One of
He's
my
a great
heroes.
lad.
But yeah, this is Ronnie with the fans. I think I'd love this is in Japan, I think.
That's during the show. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
love
they're
this.
all sitting down politely.
What a beautiful
Yes.
picture, though.
But that changed, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a beautiful
definitely-
picture.
First time I went to Japan, I couldn't believe how restrained they were. And then all of a sudden the music started and they started going a little berserk by tapping their feet.
Yeah.
And the next time I went back, it's like total different ball game.
They got into it, yeah.
Oh, stood up. And, yeah, quite amazing race.
Yeah, they screamed for Robin Zander of Cheap Trick, of course. So they screamed a lot for him.
Yes.
Hey, we lost some people again.
This
Where-
is such a great picture. This is one of my favourites that you've sent through. Love it.
Where's Wilko gone?
Hey, he's disappeared. I was going to start talking about his. So there was an era then where you crossed over with your Ronnie experiences, but I think there was one era where all three of you were working for Dio, which would be like the Holy Diver era. I think Wilko was on board then as well.
Yeah, he was tour manager, I think, then. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what
I
was
was
that?
on gear. Yeah.
That must have been an exciting tour, really. I mean, if you think about it, he's out on his own. He's got his own band. It's his way. All his stuff. He must have been excited as hell.
Well, you got to imagine it was a great album to begin with, just a really good album, and it stepped straight out of the Rainbow situation. So
Yeah.
of course it built up a following. Obviously in Japan, which we were talking about, he's still huge. He was always going to be huge in Japan, purely because of the Rainbow thing. But it was like he's earned his medals to be worn. He'd already proven himself, and now he's gone right. Fuck you lot. I don't need you, Richie. I'm going to go out on my own. Did this album. He nailed it.
Yeah, and he so yeah. I mean, I skipped ahead a bit because obviously there's the Black Sabbath stuff we're going to talk about. Oh, we got a couple of bots in the chat. If any mods are able to deal with them, I want to play this little video clip of him talking about Rainbow and Richie. Kind of gives us an idea of what happened and why he ended up moving on.
It was never difficult for me at all. Never. No, never. I did about 8 world tours with Purple as Elf, as the opening act for Deep Purple. So I got to know Richie. I say it this way because I didn't get to know him because we didn't speak for maybe 2 years on the tour, because Richie's a very private person, and I understood that, so I stayed away from Richie. If you jump on top of someone like Richie, then he doesn't want to know about you. So I let perhaps my talent speak for it. And one day Richie came into the dressing room and said to me, "You're a great singer." That's the only words he ever said to me. The first time he ever said that to me, and I said, "Well, thank you very much." And then we became friends, and we used to go out and jam a lot. He was in Purple, I was in Elf, but we'd go to clubs and we would jam and have a great time. And then when he left Purple, because he felt Purple was becoming too funky, as he said, because of Glenn, and Ian Pace wanted to be a bit more funky player, and he said, "I want to quit, I want you to form a band with me," because we had the same idea, which was to make classical rock and roll music. And I had never, ever had a problem with Richie. I respected him very, very much. The only thing I had a problem with Richie was he's a very cruel person, I felt. Cruel to the fans, very cruel and to people in general. I thought that was very wrong.
Yeah, and it was obviously going to turn into a bit of an issue.
Yeah. Well, Colin can probably answer that and verify. He worked with Richie long enough,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think he probably felt he could get away with a lot of stuff because he was.
He did. He did, but he never hung around for the consequences of all his actions.
No.
Never.
He'd start the trouble and walk away. Yeah.
Yeah. You jump out the window to avoid people. And there's one more video I did want to play. Hang on a sec.
Oh, everybody's back. Hello again.
Hey, Wilko's back.
Hello, chat.
I've got a problem.
Wilko's back.
Yeah, I keep getting the wrong button.
I remember playing a gig in Glasgow when
Oh, we've played that one. Sorry.
We had that one.
Yeah, so I'm aware that I skipped forward a couple of things. I did have another clip here. Just a seconds of Stargazer.
The dreaded rainbow.
Copyright. So that rainbow must have been a bit of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, 3,000 regular light bulbs in there.
Jesus.
Oh, wow. All different, the different bands, different coloured light bulbs behind a scrim. What a pain in the ass.
Oh man, that was a day, man. What a 3,000 lights. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and every time that turned on, Richie's guitar went.
Oh, right. Well, they just the interference, like the buzz on the electric
we had
line.
Boffins working on that every show, and they managed to get it down to a level that Richie would tolerate. But,
Who was working on that?
Guy called John. John. Oh God.
Oh, because Ronnie was already dead by then.
Huh?
Ronnie by then, wasn't he?
I missed you faded out. Say it again.
I'm just saying Ronnie Quinton had died by then.
Oh yeah. This guy was called John. He was the computer whiz who designed these 4 computers that were in each section of the rainbow.
Oh.
He synced them all up. There's only one guy could do all this, but every show they had to figure out this buzz and try and get rid of it.
Oh my!
I definitely want to talk about the whole Black Sabbath here in a minute. But now that Wilko's back, we were saying before he disappears, the three of us were working on the three of you guys. Were working on the Holy Diver tour. At the same time, you're all working together at that point. That must have been a hell of a tour because Dio was on top of the world then.
Yeah, I mean, what year was that, Willie? I can't even remember. It was the 90s.
83.
Holy Diver was 83, yeah.
Was it? Jesus Christ, I thought it was in the 90s.
No. You missed a few years out, buddy.
Oh, man.
Surprise.
So what was that experience like, Wilko? It must have been pretty exciting.
Well, yeah, I just came off one of those other tours, and we talked about this the other day about production. And, I was with the Average White Band for 10 years, and they never had a production. I mean, not at all. It was just a couple of towers in the back with some lights on it and a sound system. And then from there, I went with the Allman Brothers, 20,000 seaters, and it was the same thing. There was no production, So when I did get to work with somebody like Dio, and we were at Tesco, remember, Willie? And Ronnie was going, well, go on, we'll go do something useful. Stand in the middle of all that, and all these pyros were going off and lights. And I'm just stood there like a complete you-know-what. And it was a fantastic tour because I'd never been around that kind of rock and roll, heavy metal type stuff. It was fantastic,
Yeah.
And of course, Willie and I, we had a lot of laughs. I mean, it was just like party heaven 7 days a week.
Yeah, well, we're good at that.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you and I bouncing off each other. We talked on another podcast the other day, and we talked about the fan club girl from Amsterdam. And we're all giving her a hard time saying, well, we're going from Scotland to England. You got your passport? And you pulled the tour bus over, and it was like, she just went completely ballistic, this poor girl. She passed out. Oh, Colin, she passed out in the toilet. And Willie gets off the bus. He comes around the other side door. He's like, being a Scotsman, like, oh, can you rock and roll band? What's in here then? He's kicking the door in the toilet, and this poor girl is stuck in the toilet, and he's like, give us your passport, and we're like, oh, here you go, It was absolutely brilliant.
Well, that's rock and
I
roll.
felt so bad for that. Yeah. I mean, truly, God bless her. She's a lovely girl. She's a good lass. Huge fan.
I just wanted to give a shout out to those over on Rumble watching. We've got Matt Fullball is there, and Wagner195 who's watching live from Rio de Janeiro, I assume.
Oh,
Rio
cool.
D. Yeah, so good for them.
Rio by the Sea.
Thanks for being over there on Rumble, guys. Appreciate it. So yeah, sorry.
Who's
yeah,
that?
It sounds like a hell of a tour, that one. I've got a couple of photos. The main guy, of course, at that point was Jimmy Bain, Scottish bass player of Rainbow, and then Dio. I think it was a I think Ronnie asked him to find some people for the band, to help him find somebody, and that's how they got Viv Campbell.
Well, it was it was Jimmy suggested Vivian. Yeah.
Yeah. And great bass player. I mean, I saw him live a couple of times with different bands, but I never, unfortunately, saw him with the Dio band. That was a great band. Vivian, Vinny Appice, Jimmy Bain. That's a hell of a band, you know?
No, yeah, it really was. I mean, great outfit.
Yeah, no, Jimmy was, to me, was a excellent, typical rock and roll musician. Because he'd look at me and I'd give him a big Jack Daniels and Coke on the last song. So he'd do all of that, then he'd come off and do his shower and he'd be like looking at me and I'm like, okay. And then Ronnie would go, take him to his bunk. I'm like, yeah, he's going to get all bunked, you know. Escorted him to the tour bus, you know. Okay. Okay, Jimmy, have a nice dream, you know.
A good Scottish rocker. That's a great picture of him as well.
Yeah,
he was a talented guy. Yeah.
I bumped into him in the line at the Palladium years and years later when Killing Joke was playing. And I'm looking at him. He's going, have I changed that much? He had short hair and stuff. I'm going, Jimmy, is it you? He goes, yeah. I said, where's your wig? He's like, come on, I don't recognize you, you know. And we hung out, and that was a really good night because we went in and we both were like just looking around, and guess who stood there? Lemmy, right? So we had a little chat with him, and Lemmy's going, oh, it's only $3 a pint. How many pints are you going to buy me? You know, anyway.
So just wanted to thank our great friend Darius, who was on the panel. And he must have been one of the ones who got thrown out earlier when we had technical problems. Sorry about that, buddy. You can come back, you know. $2 super chat from Darius Munchausen. Why were rainbows so heavy metal in the 70s, whereas they're not now? Rainbows were metal. That's true. Lots of rainbows.
Yep. Why are there so many songs about rainbows?
That's right. Well, that's easy. I can sing a rainbow. So that deserves another replay. Actually, I'll replay. Thank you, Darius, for the chat, super chat. Appreciate it, mate. Jimmy Bain. It was a great band. I don't know Pope. I mean, you're probably more knowledgeable about band lineups than I am these days because I forget them all. That was a hell of a band in the first 3 Dio albums, was it not?
Oh yeah, I mean, pretty much everybody in that band was absolutely top tier. I mean, you had Ronnie on vocals. You have Richie Blackmore on guitar, and then Jimmy Bain and Cozy Powell.
Yeah, and Rainbow, yeah. And then the Dio band, though, later, Vinny, Jimmy, Vivian, and then Claude Schnell was a keyboard player.
Yep.
What a lineup. I mean, just, that's what I say, that period, 75 to 85, Ronnie just ruled the metal world, I think. And
a guy that talented and, like we're saying, that personable is going to attract that top tier musician talent to him.
Yeah.
I mean, like you were saying, Tony absolutely loved him.
And he could write, of course, because he could write, and because he was a musician as well as a writer, a singer. He could arrange, and he knew how the music should go too. So multiple threats, you know, in terms of
and multiple different levels of understanding and songwriting too. Like, you know, even if he was the principal songwriter, he knows he's a musician too, so he knows, okay, this is going to be a pain for my bass. Maybe I won't do that.
Yeah, but you think about it and you say to yourself, who else do you know on the planet that has gone through 4 or 5 bands, you know, of being the top man in all 5 bands?
There's not many, you know. I mean, I don't know.
Well, you know, you're going through Elf, you're going through Rainbow, you're going through Dio, Black Sabbath, you know, Heaven and Hell. I mean, that's a pretty good pretty good.
Good track record.
Yeah, right.
That's
Well,
why I
and that's
put him
one of the
right up
reasons
there. He's at
he
the
kind
very
of
peak.
gets into the pantheon of the heavy metal gods is that he's in like every one of the most influential bands of their time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Rainbow and his era of Sabbath and the first era of the Dio band were all extremely influential acts and influential albums. I mean that, and the early Dio band stuff also caught the MTV train, as it were. Some of those early videos are just brilliant, and they were getting constant MTV play.
Oh yeah.
So he wasn't just, he was a guy who always progressed with the music and the changing times, I felt, and which is important. So, but then, so after Rainbow, unfortunately, after he got, well, he did basically get sacked. I mean, which was cruel, given it was him and Ronnie's band, him and Richie's band. Certainly he would have left if that hadn't happened. He was kind of at a low ebb, you know, maybe didn't know what was going to happen next. And then the call came. Well, I think what it was happening is he bumped into Tony Iommi in the Rainbow. And Tony said, I'm working on this stuff. Do you want to go and come and listen to it? And it was Children of the Sea. And he said, Ronnie just said, give me a minute. And he wrote some stuff down and then sang it. It was like,
Ronnie had already made plans on doing Dio. And then all of a sudden, the call, as you say, the call came through, and Ronnie would always phone me up and go, check this out. That's what he'd always say, check this out. I go, Tony Iommi and I, he told me that the odds are he was going to do Sabbath, and should he do it? And I went, fuck, how can you not?
Yeah.
How can you not do it? So he had to put Dio on hold, and then went and did Black Sabbath, quite rightly so. I mean, he was doing War Pigs 10 years, 8 years, 10 years before this all kicked off.
That was in the opening montage. I had that little clip of Elf doing War Pigs. It's great. And now, Ozzy had been sacked and he was bitter about it, sacked from Sabs. A lot of people would have said, oh, is this really the right move? I mean, Ozzy is Black Sabbath. Who's this Ronnie James Dio guy? He's never going to be able to do this. I consider this to be one of the greatest albums ever made in any...
Brilliant album. Brilliant. Heaven and Hell's a great album.
It's outstanding. Every track is a killer.
Oh, killer.
Really,
this is top 5 metal albums of all time.
Yeah,
like this is up there with Screaming for Vengeance or Paranoid or Last in Line or anything of that vein. Like this is in everyone's list.
Yeah, the minute I heard, sorry, go ahead, John. Yeah,
I'll say no offense to Ozzy, but this is my favorite era of Sabbath.
Me too. I mean, I appreciate everything Ozzy did, and he went off and did Blizzard of Oz, and that was great. This is my Sabbath.
I'll say that Sabbath has never had a bad singer, whether it be Ian Gillan or Tony Martin or whoever, but Ronnie is by far certainly the most talented and certainly my favorite out of all of them.
Yeah, top man. Yeah.
He brought a musicality to it that allowed them to progress, I think. I mean, Tony Iommi's playing on this album is outstanding, and he plays a lot of what you would call progressive stuff on it. Folky, acoustic stuff mixed in with the heavy riffs. It really allowed him, I think having Ronnie as a singer with a great range allowed him to really stretch out.
Well, I think that was causing tension before they even got rid of Ozzy, is that I think Tony and Geezer wanted to go in this direction musically because that's kind of immediately where they ran to.
Yeah.
And I don't think Ozzy could do it, especially at that point when he was out of it most of the time.
He was out of it. His voice was shot. He was snowblind, really. The minute I heard the opening riffs of Neon Nights, I was in love. I was absolutely in love. I mean, literally, I was like, what have I just heard? And I played that track 1,000 times in a row. I just couldn't get enough of it. And then the whole album just turned out to be outstanding. I got the beautiful deluxe vinyl recently. It's gorgeous. And Mob Rules, I got that too. Now, and as Sean says, Mob Rules is no slouch. It's also one of the greatest albums ever made. But Heaven and Hell is something special.
And Mob Rules is where you kind of see that Ronnie can do the doom metal stuff with songs like Sign of the Southern Cross and Children of the Sea and stuff like that.
That's a great track, yeah.
I mean, again, everything on this album absolutely rules. But
someone's back.
So you can basically see that Ronnie can do everything Ozzy could do and a lot more.
You have to understand, Ozzy was the main contender of Black Sabbath when it started.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to accept that those roots were what they were. As they progressed, I think Ozzy got slightly more maybe out of it with drugs maybe or booze, whatever. And they needed a new breath of fresh air, which is why they brought Ronnie in at the end of the day. I think Tony and Geezer were getting just pretty miffed at Ozzy either not turning up or being too out of it or not giving enough inspiration to songs, whatever. So I think Ronnie was a real inspiration, and he was a breath of fresh air to all of them. And in that first album, it really does show, it just kicks off. This is what it should be. And, after a while, unfortunately, it wavered purely because Tony and Geezer probably started sitting there going, "Ooh, what about Geezer? Our mate Geezer, our mate Ozzy, he needs a fucking gig. Let's give it him back."
Very good impression.
Get Ozzy. Great at what he does because he's the front man of Sabbath. There's no getting away from it. But you put Ronnie as far as a singer in a band, and it doesn't compare.
It's no comparison for me. Ronnie is a brilliant, one of the all-time great singers. Ozzy is a performer, but not a great singer.
And I think it's one of those, you can say that you like Ozzy's era Sabbath better, but I don't think anyone can say with a straight face that Ozzy is a better singer.
No. But he's a great frontman.
He's a great frontman, but Ronnie's a great singer and a great writer. So I just want to shout out to Eric K. $2 super chat from Eric. Thank you, buddy. A great supporter of the channel and a great range on many channels. Loved the Mighty Midget. So powerful. He was. How could
the Mighty Midget. We're talking about Ronnie.
Are we talking about Ronnie or somebody else now?
Who's midget are you talking about?
Whose little midget are we talking about? And in celebration, you're gonna get this. Oh, chills.
God damn.
Chills. I can't say enough about that era of Black Sabbath, and we probably won't have time today, but Dehumanizer is still, I love it. It's a great album. And then the final album, The Devil You Know, is a fantastic album. Beautiful album. Heaven and Hell.
Well, that's the thing. Even when they hadn't played together in a decade or more with Dehumanizer, you come back in and they still have a pretty solid record, even in an era when music was kind of evolving and had a lot of newer ideas and tech in there that I don't think anybody really executed well at that point.
Yeah, that's right. And we just touched briefly though upon the fact Ozzy was terrible to Ronnie after.
Oh God,
couldn't stop going on about it. Ronnie was trying to be a gentleman about all of it. He did make a couple of comments. I really like this particular one. I'm going to play this. Hang on. Video. I'm going to find the right video. Here we go. Ronnie responds to Ozzy about Sab. So I'm going to play this.
Well, I think he's right. I think he's right in that he's talking about.
Well, by the way, it's because Ozzy said, well, it's not Black Sabbath anymore. Black Sabbath are done without me. This guy's not Black Sabbath.
There is no more Black Sabbath with Ozzy Osbourne in it. He's absolutely right. It's not even remotely close as far as I'm concerned. I think that you'll find that the riffs that Tony's playing now are probably more musical riffs, And the reason probably being that he's now got someone who can compare musically to the riffs that he's playing. Now, I'll make a derogatory statement for you that you can play to Ozzy if you like. I've heard some of the things that Ozzy has. Let me answer this one first. You asked me a question about what I've just heard. Again, I agree, he's right. But he's talking again from the context of when he was in the band with Black Sabbath. Granted, a bass player will not make as much of an impression with a change as a vocalist would, or perhaps a guitar player. And he's right about the drum end of it as well. That does not necessarily mean that without that same bass player or without that drummer, that the band would be as good. So he didn't really expound on it. But what he's generally saying is right. This band is not the band that did Iron Man, that did War Pigs, because I don't sound like Ozzy. At least I hope I don't sound like Ozzy. I don't try to. I don't want to. He's right. It's not the same band. Not at all the same band. It's a band that has progressed where Ozzy either refused to progress or was incapable of progression. And I like to think that it's incapable of progression.
And I think that's pretty restrained given the things Ozzy was saying.
Oh, yeah. Like, given that he was talking, that's about the nicest you can be about that without sounding like a complete pushover.
There is a difference, though. It's what Ozzy was saying or what Sharon was saying. Two different things right there. I mean,
both of them were saying stuff at the time, too, because Sharon was being absolutely horrible to Tony and Geezer in all this.
Oh, you know, I mean, you ask any of the Iron Maiden guys, I mean, they hate her. I mean, you know, it's like she was just so vicious and cruel to all of them. He doesn't even bear talking about. But it comes back to the thing where, as you say, all of a sudden Ozzy was no longer in the band. Ronnie was now in the band. The situation is when you got 4 or 5 musicians in a room and you get a good buzz off of these musicians and a good vibe, and you can be productive with that, it's great. But if you're sitting there in a room and you got Ozzy who's not singing, you got the drummer, Bill Ward, bless him, Ronnie loved him to death, was always pissed, he couldn't play, he had no input. All of a sudden, you're dwindling down to 1 or 2 members of a band as opposed to a band. So it makes a hell of a difference, you know? It makes a hell of a difference.
Towards the end, like you could barely even get Ozzy into the studio at all.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, he's so not well at the moment too. That man, bless him. I mean, God, it's such a shame.
And we're certainly not here to knock Ozzy, but for me, that era of Sabbath, those 2 albums and then the later stuff with Ronnie is just peak metal. And Heaven and Hell, never mind metal as a genre, it's one of the best rock albums ever made. Full stop.
Oh yeah, quite agree.
Yeah, it's a monument.
All I can say is working with Ronnie James at the time, because I was never a really Black Sabbath guy. I didn't give any, I couldn't even listen to it actually. But Ronnie was just such a perfectionist. And he was in the studio rehearsing, right, Willie, at Tasco?
Yeah.
He would keep you there. He would just push the buttons. It's not right. I want it right. And Willie and I going, when are we going to the pub, Ronnie? He goes, when I get this right. You know,
he did.
We're dying for.
Well, you know, we wanted to go out, but it's like when we're on tour, many nights, I'll be going, Ronnie, what are you doing? It's 5 a.m. He goes, you see these fans? They're by my album. I'm signing autographs. And it got the point you couldn't even talk to him about it. He was just so onto it. And he was like, oh, okay, well, time to go now. And Willie, you know, we'd be dragging ourselves on the tour bus, you know. But to me, he was a perfectionist. He knew what he wanted. And I'd never really I'd seen that in a different light with different bands I was with. But he just pushed the buttons. You know, it's my show, my band, my production. I'm going to make sure I'm happy with what I'm seeing, you know.
Yeah. Just wanted to mention our friend Christopher Moonlight, who's in the chat, mentioned, yes, we did mention Tasco.
Yes.
And he says he remembers spending summers there while his parents ran Ascot.
Ascot racetrack?
I don't know. It must be something else, but it's I don't know. I don't know what Tasco is
Ascot
either.
Cases.
Oh, the cases. Thank God.
Yeah. Because
right.
Because Christopher's mother is the wonderful Mary Cooper.
Oh, there you go.
Mary,
Mary Cooper, the Mary Cooper.
Yes, the Mary Cooper. So
yeah.
That Chris Cooksey.
Yes, it is.
That's it, Rob Cooksey. Yeah, of course.
Well, yeah.
So nice
How
to
you
see you,
doing?
Christopher.
I was just talking to your dad.
Yeah, well, there you go. So I wanted to just briefly go back to the chat. Thank you, everybody. Lots of great chats. Enjoying seeing your comments, trying to respond to a few or throw a few in the screen. We had a poll running throughout the show. I'm going to close it now. And it was which of the first 4 Dio albums is your favorite? I don't know if it's going to be a surprise, the result. Probably not a big surprise, but the winner with 75% of the vote was Holy Diver.
Gasp, shock.
And the other 3, last in line, Sacred Heart and Dream Evil, split with 7% each.
Wow.
Which I think they got maybe 1 vote each or something. So.
Wow.
So thank you for voting in that. Holy Diver, I mean, it is a legendary album, and I think it's hard this far down the line to forget just how good an album that was and how big it was at the time. Ronnie had his own band now, it was his vision entirely. Made a great album, had some great, started doing some great tours with some incredible stage props. Which I think of it a headache.
Yeah, that's one of the albums I had to hide the cover of from my mom, especially because
the devil
throwing a priest in the that wouldn't have gone over well if she ever saw it. So that was
no.
He did.
That was always tucked in and never left out.
He did get caught up in the whole devil scare thing, and then the horns, of course.
Yeah.
The good old Satanic Panic.
Yeah, the Satanic Panic, and this album featured heavily in that. In fact, I think I may even have a video that's briefly touches on that kind of thing. It's this one.
I hear you, brave young jables, you are hungry for the rock, but to learn the ancient methods, secret doors, you must.
Book of Destiny. Yeah, he did get caught up in all that, and then I don't think that was really what he was trying to say with any of this.
Well, I mean, at this point, by '83, when Holy Diver came out, you had bands like Venom and Bathory coming out with actual black metal. It's just like, no. If you're looking for Satanists, they're over there. This is not that.
He made some great videos. The Holy Diver video is fantastic. He had the great stage setups, big dragons that he was slaying.
Oh, don't.
The dragon. And then wasn't the Holy Diver tour he came out of one? It was up, you could come out of the mouth of the dragon or something, or
no, it wouldn't be Holy Diver. That was, we didn't start having dragons till sort of Sacred Heart.
Sacred Heart era, okay, right.
That's I mean, I think I told you before, Ronnie used to come in to do a sound check, and there was a huge snake that I used to have to maintain, which used to have to come out in the middle of the show through these main gates and rear its ugly head, and these lasers would come out. Anyway, this thing was a nightmare to travel with. I was forever fixing it, and Ronnie would always turn up to do a sound check, and he'd have to go. He'd go straight for the snakes. He knew that I'd be under the snakes fixing, and he'd always go, "Well,
yeah,
how are the snakes?" And I go, "Fucking you bastard!"
Yeah, that's right. There was tons of animatronics.
He loved it.
Animatronics are notoriously bad on stage for going wrong.
Alex, and the thing is, when they travel in a truck and they bounce around, it busts a lot of seals. It's okay if you're sitting in a studio somewhere, you can get it working day in, day out. But because it travels hundreds and hundreds of miles every night, the pressure on it just seems to bust all these valves. So if you're forever fixing valves, and Ronnie found it hysterically funny to come in, the first thing you do is go, let's see what Willie's doing. And he knew exactly where I'd be. He knew exactly what I'd be doing. He knew I'd be cursing it. And the thing is, during a show is always fun, because when the cue came, inside of the cage, underneath the drum riser, when the gates were about to open, I had to push out these snakes and rear them up to turn and fire lasers and stuff. Ronnie would poke his head back round and look at me and see me. I'd have a joint in my mouth. And he'd go, and he'd come in and from the joint and go, is it fucked? Or I'll go, yeah, it's fucked, Ron. He'd have a couple of hits of the joint and then go back out and sit. And I could see him watching the snakes doing their pathetic.
There's the snakes, and then the trouser snakes would be a problem too.
Oh, mate, he loved it. Things that went, he didn't like things going wrong, but when things did go wrong, he'd make the most of it, and he loved it. You know,
Courtney, you were going to say something there, I think. Maybe not.
I'm here.
Well, there you are.
Yes, I'm back. I was on the phone. Sorry about that.
It's good you're back, but
your call.
Well, indeed, she was calling her agent, and how did her agent get her on the show?
This is that golden period too of like heavy metal shows where it's like this massive theater presence rather than just like a rock show. It was this amazing time.
Slaying the Dragon. It was, and it worked with the videos as well, of course. Now, later on, they said it worked against Ronnie because he get lumped in with the hair metal bands when they went out of fashion in the late 80s and 90s, but he was never quite one of them. This was a different thing, I felt. It was a show, but it wasn't like Poison or something. This wasn't hair metal, you know.
No.
In my opinion.
This was power metal. This was a completely different beast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like this is the start of power metal, basically.
He got unfairly tarnished with that, being when the MTV switched away from metal, and then grunge came in. A lot of those bands disappeared. Ronnie struggled, I think, for a while, didn't he, guys?
Well,
who said that?
Who are you asking?
Well, yeah, and I mean, Willie, you were there.
You were there. I'll throw it, Willie.
He struggled a little bit, I think, in the early 90s commercially. I mean, the first 3 albums were huge, double platinum. First Dio albums, but then things dried up a bit, tastes changed, and he got lumped in with the stuff that wasn't so good, even though he was great.
Yeah, the problem is, at the early 90s, it was all changing again. You know, people weren't necessarily, unless they were huge bands filling the auditoriums, things were just slightly starting to change. So Ronnie was starting to hit smaller venues just to keep the band touring and to keep the band alive, effectively. A lot of the main bands, you know, your Dire Straits and your U2s and all these sort of things, Genesis, were filling out huge venues.
Yeah.
That, you know, at that stage of the game when they're all around and about, the metal guys were kind of put in the background, you know. It's just kind of the way it was. And someone once said, you know, heavy metal or heavy rock is every 10 years. And they're pretty much right. Every 10 years, there's a resurgence of rock.
Because Dio came back later strong, and by the late 90s, the festival circuit for metal bands, specific metal festivals, the Black Sabbath stuff again, he became huge again.
Yeah, it just suddenly changed again. And you go, it's our time. Right, off we go, lads.
Yeah. Recognized for what he was, which was a godfather of metal. I mean, just stepfather of metal. Yeah, he got his stepfather. With a lot of ugly stepchildren.
I've got a thing about...
a lot of ugly stepchildren. But yeah, I mean, we don't have time, unfortunately, to go over all those Dio albums, but certainly Holy Diver, an enormous success. Hell, my son to this day, every time he talks to me, he sings Holy Diver. It's like a thing between us. Holy Diver. It's just, that song fascinated him since he was a kid.
Holy Diver and Heaven and Hell Side A were, not that I didn't listen to all of Heaven and Hell, but those were on my stack on my record player pretty much all the time.
Yes.
Good job. Good taste.
Yeah, and then the last in line.
Right there. The last in line.
Yeah, I mean, the great artwork as well. Brilliant artwork. Summed up the lyrics. The artwork really reflected the lyrical content.
And one thing I loved with him that was kind of a newer thing at this point, I don't know of many people who'd done it before, is that continuity between the album covers with that demon character in the background.
Yeah.
Whereas in the mall, and that was kind of a new thing where like this isn't like a completely separate thing. This is a continuation of the story.
Didn't he call him Murray? Wasn't Murray the name he gave him?
Murray was the name. That's what he was called. Yeah.
For no apparent reason. He just said, what's that character called? Oh, Murray.
Yeah, and then you had Eddie from all the Iron Maiden albums, and then Vic Rattlehead later on with Megadeth.
I love it. I love this stuff. To me, it's like that's rock. That's heavy metal.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a great album too, with some killer tracks like We Rock is on there. I think, isn't it? Last in Line's a great track. I might even have a clip of the Last in Line. Do I? Oh, maybe
some
not.
good videos.
I don't. But I've got Holy.
Holy diver, you've been down too long in the midnight sea. Oh, what's becoming of me?
I'd love to play more, but that's copyright for you. But this is We Rock's a great. Mystery's a great track. Love that track in this.
That's a great track too.
Yeah,
great live track.
And going over well live. You guys were there at these gigs and touring with them. These things were going over like gangbusters and live. Just loved it, didn't they, Willie?
Well, you know what? When you're sitting there and you've gone through the day, the gear's been set up, whether you're on gear or looking after the band are doing interviews, Ronnie's doing interviews, you get them showered up, ready for the show, you're getting them organised for limos and cars, whatever. You get them to the venue, and then the lights go down and the first chords of the song kick off, and you suddenly go, oh yeah, this is what it's all about.
This is what
and
it's about.
The next hour and a half, 40 minutes, it flies by. And the end of the show, you get everybody back off stage into the dressing rooms, nice and safe, and you go, yeah, a good day's work done. And it is.
Yeah, definitely was a good day's work.
Yeah, I can see your name on the back here, Willie. Those who labored, Willie. Willie labored for this one.
Labored, yeah. Oh, bugger it all. Yeah,
great album. Though.
Wilko's right. You know, at the end of the day, if the gig's been good or if it's been bad, if you've earned your money, you know it. If the band come off and they're happy, you go, yeah, I earned my money today. Good job. All that.
Yeah, you could tell with the attitude when they walked off. I mean, some nights it'd be like, oh no, here we go.
Yeah. Oh, Ronnie was, as you know,
it was they'd walk off and it was a good show, But you get that little one that look at you through the corner of the eye, and you go, "It's gonna be one of those nights, guys."
Yeah.
You
know as well as I do. If Ronnie turned round and went, I want to see so and so, so and so, and so and so, you go, oh, here we go.
Right.
It's happy.
Right. Another late night.
Yes.
And then the last
another bollocking.
Yeah. And the last in that trio from the band before, I think this was the last one Vivian did, was Sacred Heart. Great album, King of Rock and Roll Children, Sacred Heart, brilliant tracks.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Hungry for Heaven. That's another good one. I like that one.
They're great tracks, but you know what? I still can't listen to Ronnie. After all these years, I still can't listen to him.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Is it just too emotional?
I find it soul destroying, and I shouldn't. But people keep saying you just got to sit down and listen to his albums, and I go, yeah, I know. I wish. I got real drunk. This is a while back. This is probably 10 years ago. I got real drunk.
No.
And I did something. No.
Never.
Yeah, thank you.
Never.
I'm stupid. I phoned Ronnie's number.
Oh, wow.
Totally out. And the answer phone picked up and he went, hi, Ronnie, I'm not here right now. Can you? And it's only when that happened I realised I had to hang up, and it fucked me up for 6-8 months. Suddenly realised he's not there anymore, and it really fucking did me up. and it was such a shame because he'd always, as soon as I met, what happened was if I'd phone him up, he'd pick up the phone, or the phone would go, "Hi, Ronnie here. Leave your number and I'll call you back." And my cue would be, "You cunt." If I think you, he'd go and he'd pick up.
I just want to ask Courtney to introduce your new friend.
My friend.
Hello, Dougie.
Welcome.
Hey.
What a beauty! Is that?
Lick my face.
Oh, bless.
Yeah, he's got his little Halloween shirt on. It says,
How you doing?
Be my boo.
Yeah, good
My
shirt.
boo. What a
Be my
beauty.
boo.
Two beauties, really, Courtney.
Oh,
And,
well, thank you.
I don't know if this is necessarily your era of music, Courtney, the 80s Dio metal style.
Oh, no, not at all. I don't like 80s metal at all.
You don't like Black
I
Sabbath,
do.
though?
No, I do. I'm being sarcastic. Go ahead.
All right, okay.
Put him up there.
Yeah, it was a pretty
I'm
big
over it,
thing.
but I still
Dio was
have
the Dio stuff was pretty big in that era. I do recall it very well. It was a good time for those of us into classic metal stuff.
Yeah.
I've got one more clip I want to play, which
Brian,
featured.
I have to drop out, so I've got my nephew's. I got my nephew's football game to go to. It's homecoming week, so I've got multiple football games and events that I've got to go help with.
Okay,
so
mate.
Go score.
I will see you later. It was great being on with you guys. Great to see you again.
Good to
and
see you too.
Just keep on rocking.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks for being here.
Go, kid. Nice to see you, kid.
See ya. So, yeah, I want to play one more clip, and a certain gentleman may appear in this that's on this stream. This is so all that gear on stage, the automated stuff. Sometimes it went missing. So fans, opportunistic fans. So here's one about the Sphinx.
And we went to load the heads.
Somebody stole
That's
it.
right.
Yeah.
Somebody stole the heads.
Yeah.
And it was snowing that night.
Humongous things. I don't know.
Liverpool.
Yeah.
It was Liverpool.
Was it Liverpool?
It was Liverpool because I can still see two guys running down the road with a Sphinx head between them.
In Liverpool.
In Liverpool.
Our best fence in the world couldn't get rid of that. I've got a Sphinx's head here.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
See, this is where all our pot-induced minds go, you know, because
That's right.
all I remember is this.
I remember
the trail of, because it was Detroit, and we're
It probably happened in Detroit too, but it happened in Liverpool.
Because I remember we got spares after that. We had spare heads. So anyway, I could see Bugsy leading this trail of men and crew all the way up the hill, trying to chase down tracking, doing their own investigation through the snow and the flashlights. It looked like a, X-Files series or something like that, like they wanted to get these heads back.
What did they do with them?
So yeah, the Sphinx got nicked. The Sphinx head on an automatronic thing. In Liverpool, Scallies, damn Scallies.
Fancy that.
Yeah.
Liverpool.
Further proof that nothing good ever happens in Liverpool.
Who was that guy in the right of that?
It's funny because I thought it might have been Glasgow. It's either Glasgow or Liverpool.
There you go.
Well, Ronnie said Liverpool. He's the boss.
Yeah, well, that's right. I've got to go, but
Remember that.
I've go that might know, like Claire or somebody. She might know, but she might remember the effect that happened that night. But yeah, it's funny. You after so many years, you do play. Your mind does play tricks on you.
Yeah.
If he says it was Liverpool, all right, then, lads.
Well,
Liverpool.
Scallies, great.
Great.
It's
Great.
great.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Gives a job. Yeah. So that was the big Sphinx head. It must have taken two of them to carry it.
Oh yeah. Well, it's not the first time. I mean, going back to Glasgow, I remember Jimmy had his bass stolen there. I'm sure.
Oh Jesus, that's bad. Yeah.
And the thing is, you between the back of where you bring the gear out into the truck, it's only like 6 or 8 feet. But those Glaswegians can fucking nick your breath.
That's right. I like
fucking bass cabinets going down the road going,
oh Jesus, yeah.
"Oh, what the-" and you'd run after it and just There's a guy 4.5 feet tall, carrying. I'm going, what a fucking job.
So, I like what Sentient Dildo here says. The British ain't always stealing Egyptian stuff.
Welcome to the British Museum. Don't ask Ed how any of it got here.
British Museum, full of stuff from all around the world. Nothing British. So
no.
Yeah, I mean, watching, and you guys would basically be doing security. I mean, yes, in later years there was professional security, but a lot of the time it would be you guys looking after stuff.
Well, no, back in those days there would have been a security. Where the hell was the security backstage? I mean, there's always got to be somebody watching from the stage to the trucks. So obviously you put the money to some other use, didn't you, Willie?
Yeah, usually.
Forget security. Or did you actually sell the Sphinx head? You say, go on, get down the street, man, quick before Ronnie sees you.
At least you could laugh about it, though. Anyway,
but listen, I'm going to jump off. I got to
go. We're going to wrap up anyway, mate. So thanks for being here. Have you got anything you want to plug?
We'll speak soon, dude.
Yes, talk. I've got big meetings this week. I'll let you know how the meetings go, but it all looks like we're moving ahead with everything we've been talking about.
Yeah, rock and roll rowdies.
Let's be a rock and roll rowdy. Yeah.
God bless.
Good to see you, Wilko.
Cheers,
Okay,
Wilko.
See you,
Wilko.
Bye.
Yeah, rock and roll rowdies. You got big plans, big stuff coming. So yeah, I gotta get wrapped up and go eat. That's wonderful. We could have gone for hours, guys. Thank you for all these great stories, Willie and Colin. Appreciate it.
That was very entertaining.
And if you want to tempt some of those musicians to come on,
I'll let us mention it and see what happens.
Yeah. Before you go though, so just like to thank everybody in the chat, both here and over in Rumble. There might have been a couple more chats on Rumble I missed actually. Anyway, but thank you for being here. What a great time. You've all been fantastic today, chatting away like crazy. Thanks for all your support for the channel. As I say, we crossed 1,200 subs and we must be doing something right. We've lost Willie. Getting there, at this rate, by the end of the decade, I'll have reached 2,000 subscribers. So
very nice. That means I have to stay up all night again.
Willie's dropped off again.
He has. Well, that's normal.
Oh no, he's back. He's back. I thought I'd lost my little Willie.
There you are.
Pushing the wrong button.
Oh, you're pressing that finger. Press the wrong button. Pope, my friend, thank you
very much.
All right, there you go. He's filling up the.
Cheers.
Thank you. Pope, my friend, I did want to circle back with you. Thank you for your contribution today. You talked a lot about the music. Could you sum up your views on Dio and the music? What does it mean to you? And
I mean, I came into it later, especially being a younger guy, because I was coming into the classic stuff in the mid 2000s. So probably 10, 15 years after it had all been recorded. And I grew up with the grunge era and stuff like that. And then getting to discover all, Dio, Judas Priest, Black Sabbath, all that stuff was just a really special thing because you realize how much we lost in that era of you listen to stuff that came 10 years after it and it sounds nowhere near as good. And that I think cements in my mind, these guys' places as the greatest heavy metal musicians of their time and probably any time. Because even if you get a guy, 10 years from now who does, who sounds like Ronnie or does things even better than him, well, he's still, coming after that. Whereas Ronnie was he was part of the deciding factor of what heavy metal was in this decade. And absolutely put his own mark on the entire music industry, not even just metal, but rock in general.
Yeah, he's a cultural figure now, not just a musical figure. He's important in the culture, which is great. But thanks for that, mate. I mean, you and I will probably talk more about this many times, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. I'm absolutely sure.
Have you got anything you want to plug, mate? Anything?
Well, you guys can catch me every Sunday for Rock and Roll Religion. We just did a discussion yesterday on Alice Cooper, another great stage show, and another guy who put his thumbprints all over the industry.
I missed Alice Cooper.
I think I sent you the link.
I don't think I ever check
Go back in
yeah,
time
we'll
and do it. Go back in time and join
Do it all over again.
So yeah.
But Thursday, I think I'm going to be doing another random fandom at 8:00 Eastern on probably going more into the BattleTech lore.
Okay.
Unless I can find something more interesting in the meantime, which I sometimes do. But thanks for having me on again. It's been great talking to you guys and talking about Ronnie James Dio, one of my favorite artists of all time.
Yeah, it's good hanging out with you, brother. Always good. And equally, we didn't even get to talk about the South Park, about Tenacious D hardly. We didn't talk about the Stranger Things. I showed the image of Eddie Munson, the Last in Line jacket. Dio is eternal and immortal. Imperatus, my friend, any last thoughts from you?
Dio, when I first heard him, wasn't really high on my list of stuff I wanted to listen to, because when I first heard Dio, I was just getting into metal and hard rock as a whole. So I was getting overrun, I guess you could say, with different bands. It's like, okay, that's cool. What's next? Oh, I like that. What's next? So I was constantly on the hunt for new music, pretty much constantly. But as I got older and went back and listened to the stuff, yeah, it's hard not to put Dio in the top 5 hard rock heavy metal performers of all time. It can't be done. You know,
there's nobody like him, I think.
No.
Yeah.
And like Pope was saying, that's one thing, I kind of miss, and in a way the black metal scene kind of did, was bring back stage shows. Not on the same level, but I mean, decapitating animals on stage is a bit different than fighting an animatronic dragon.
That's true. I think decapitating a real dragon would be fun, though.
Yeah, well.
So, and I think they came back to, after the grunge era, came back to the realization that that's all great, but some people like a show too, But thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. You got anything you want to plug? It's coming up.
Not this week. We were supposed to do the Baldur's Gate 3 stream start this past week, but Matt had to cancel. So
Baldur's Gate sounds like most of the videos I'm on.
Yeah.
So no, cheers, mate. Appreciate you hanging out. It's always a pleasure, and we'll do something again soon, I'm sure. Courtney, my dear, any words from you about the whole Dio experience?
Well, I was going to comment first on. I am kind of happy that grunge is not around anymore, but as much as I like some of the music, but yeah, the stage show thing is huge. Dio's Dio. I don't need to say much more about that. I don't think.
Yeah.
I got to get going, so I'm going to let you guys finish up.
Well, anything you want to plug on the way out?
My channel. I need watch hours. I'm never going to have a lot of people. I only have like 500 something subs, but anybody want to watch any drive streams through the mountains and listen to me be goofy? That's pretty much what you got right now until I start a new show. So.
Okay, well, it's good to have you here, Les. So we'll talk again soon, I hope.
Yes.
Take care. And a sentient dildo who's been great in the chat today and doing modding says, Dio didn't burn enough churches for my taste.
Next time, Brian, we do a show. Ask me about Jack Black.
Oh, will do. Yeah, okay. I did have a tiny clip. Hang on, it's this one.
Have something for you, boys. If you play some Tenacious D.
He did Holy Diver on some Saturday night show as well, which was so Colin and Willie, thank you again, gentlemen. You were great supporters of the channel. It's always a blast hanging out with you. Hopefully you'll want to do something again soon.
See you, Willie.
Good to see you, Colin.
Yeah. So appreciate it very much, gents. I'm sure we'll do something again soon. I will be later on, probably on Comics Division's channel. Oh, I think I might have missed a super chat. Sorry, I did.
Uh-oh.
I gotta find that super chat. Sorry, because cannot ignore the super chats.
Sorry, we kept you.
No. Hang on, here it is. Nelson. So my Beavers unit. $2 from my Beavers unit. Nelson Peltz will be on Valiant tonight. Y'all coming? I'm assuming that's Valiant Renegade. I'll be on Comics Division, so I might not be able to watch that. But thank you for the $2, and it gives me a chance to play this video clip, which I've been itching to play through the entire show. I've been itching to play it. The Rock set meets Judas Priest experience.
Great. God bless you, Rob.
Yeah, God bless Rob. Beavers unit, she loves her pink bubble at that 70s rock fan. Well, don't we all love your pink bubble? I believe I do. On that happy note, we will say good night to everybody. Stay well and keep on rocking.